don't have a loud voice. First of all, thank you for inviting me to this beautiful island. Really, really touched to see such a huge congregation of designers coming together. I heard this is like the biggest design event in India. Congratulations, because this would never have happened in Singapore without a government support financially. So kudos to the organizers. Hopefully today I can share something meaningful to everyone here. Just a little bit about myself. My name is Yah-Leng. I come from Singapore and I run a little design outfit there. We are 15 people this year, coming to the 11th year, and we hope to be, we've been pretty lucky to have met really visionary and risk-taking clients during our path, and it helped us in our portfolio as well. So these are all the whatever hashtags, and if you need to. Going straight on. Okay, we're given the Mind the Gap. I read the brief. I thought it was a bit abstract at that point. It took a long time to sort of digest it. I wanted to break it down into bits where I could relate to our work so that I can share it properly with everyone here. I'm a bit of a OCD. I can't stand imperfections, and so anything that has a slight bump or a hole or whatever, you tend to want to try to fill it up. So I feel that all designers are the same. We tend to have that inert DNA in us to want to fix things up. And we always have that radar up here. We're able to sort of suss out all the different gaps that we could help to fill in or make perfect. For me, I see gaps as opportunities to make things better, make things different from what has been done before. So in the client's world, I think Chuck has shared and Harsh did from the beginning that gaps, what gaps can help to bring you ahead, get you ahead of the competition, get you ahead of the curve, get you ahead of everyone shiny, I think that's what it is in reality. And for me, I just wanted to sometimes genuinely look at the projects that we take on, whether they are big or small. We pursue it with a really great sort of intent to make sure that every project comes up with, well, like Chuck says, it's not the results, but the idea and this problem, how do we tackle it so that it helps the client? First project, well, the first section, I want to talk about two projects. One is a really small project and one is a much larger one. Life is like a box of chocolates. You don't know what comes through your door. They can come in all sizes and shapes, but we never estimate whatever that comes through, and we should make the best out of it, because every project for us is an opportunity. Maybe you're not familiar with Singapore. We are a really, really small island city. We don't have a huge industry. We've been focused in finance, shipping, all the not so sexy kind of nation-building strategies. So for designers like us, we are in infancy stage, as I would say. And so we always wanted to do something that's a bit more creative. So so every project to us is an opportunity to make good. So this project that I want to share is from a multilinguistic translator writer who is an expert in Japanese, English, Chinese, and he writes writes and translates for art magazine. He's based in Japan. So he came to us wanting to do a really small project. Like he wants us to help him with identity for himself. And he was like, you guys can do anything you want, knock yourself out. So we thought hard, and I was thinking, why don't we try to do something that a brand identity without a logo? Is that even possible? So we cracked our head and we asked for all his publications, books, magazines, whatever, just physically. We had all these materials and we just threw everything in a blender, deconstructed everything, reconstituted, and made paper out of those publications. And so that the paper is uniquely his, it has his DNA in. I think that's quite important to him because that's what he wanted the identity to be. And instead of going through the regular printing process, which we could have done with silk screen, letterpress or regular printing, we decided to transfer the printing process, his contact details to each cut using a transfer marker. Because to us, the word transfer or translator, the word trans means going across, going beyond, and that is really sort of an implicit idea of what he does as a translator, so bridging the boundaries of language. So we thought the process of doing transferring, it's a reiteration of his work. So just some images of what some process images that we did for a project. So every card is different, it's unique, and it's therefore uniquely, beautifully idiosyncratic, which is what he is looking for. It's a small project, but we took it with care, and we really wanted something that represented him. I think he was really happy about the result. The next project I want to talk about, thank you. Perhaps they say opportunities lie in China, right? China is such a big thing, especially for everyone in the world, like, especially for Singapore, such a small market. Everyone's like looking to, realistically, we just need to look outwards for project opportunities. So maybe the gaps could be in China. One day we got this really strange email. It came in this strange email address with like a string of number, 569978@qq.com. And it was a sort of a dodgy email saying, could you code for this following items? And you have all these like letterheads, business card, blah, 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 like a really long list. And we thought it was a spam and just ignore it, chuck it. Couples later, same email came in. I was like, we still chuck it because we were really busy at the time. And day after, someone called from China and they asked if we did receive that email. We're like, holy shit, it's real. So they flew us into Nanjing. I don't know if you're familiar with China, but they flew us in. We had no expectation of anything. The next morning, they drove us across the river. I think Nanjing is like here. So we went across the river to where the sort of a natural reserve is, where this mountain called Laoshan. Laoshan means old mountain is. And basically, this is what we saw. It's like lo and behold. It was massive. We didn't know what to react, but basically, it's the size of, I think, 66 football field put together, and it's a massive and really ambitious undertaking by the owners who invited 24 really famous architects and artists they actually draw lots to pick a site where they could do whatever they want on the spot, which is crazy. But what they wanted to do was really to turn this into a hospitality project with a really strong tourism element in it. So what they really needed help with was also to have a very unified brand identity and pulling all different the architectural structures together, because they're all really different, since it was a playground for the architects and the artists. So so that was what we were there for, and I'm just gonna go through this really quickly. Story short, they interviewed everyone in China that really was not happy with what they saw. The quality of works there, they were really looking for something that's a bit more, has an international flair, because they don't want to be seen as provincial, because Nanjing is actually a second-tier city, and to have the museum there, they're really aiming to be with the lights to be the lights of the first-class, world-class hospitality project, you know. So they decided to turn some buildings into like a hotel, a museum, a conference center, and the rest like a resort, villa, which you can rent for your summer holidays or winter getaways. So they're really looking for that level of finesse that someone could help them with. I'm just going to go through just the museum part, because that's what we completed so far. So this museum is designed by Stephen Hall, and the owner is a huge, massive collector of contemporary art. And they want to make this to be on the same par as the Tate, Modern, MoMA, blah, 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 you know. So, but they had a really ugly logo at that time, and they knew it. I mean, the owners schooled in the UK and the US, they know what good is. And so they were just trying really hard to find someone who could help them. So for this project, we basically took, not working. This is just the rest of the architectural that's on the grounds, but I just wanted to talk about, yeah. Basically, we came out with the brand identity for them, with not just taking we actually recreated the Chinese typeface for them, which is kind of a little bit rare, because they usually just pick from the Chinese foundry, and we thought something like this would fit what they envisioned the museum to be. So we also took inspiration from, these are just work in progress for the logo. We also took inspiration from that quadrilateral structural shape that the architectural has given us inspiration on. We were mindful that the fact that this is a museum, we didn't really want to over-design it, because it's really a canvas for artwork. So all the collaterals, we decided to go into like a non-design look, like an under-design look. So we picked white as the canvas, and just had the rest of the shapes based on the quadrilateral shape structural. So we applied this rather successfully. They really loved it. Simple. And just really quickly. So these are the various collaterals that we pumped out, including the tote bag with that shape. Also applied this on the wayfinding. It's not a really huge museum, but the interior is also all white, so that really was really suitable for us, putting in the wayfinding. We also continued with the rest of the development of the typeface. And again, bearing in mind that this would be a canvas for artwork, we didn't want it to be overbearing. This is the rest of it. So I guess for us, the learning here is also for everyone here, especially coming from Singapore, a really small country, a very small industry. It's not much of an opportunity to do museum work of that scale. So for us to have the opportunity, we naturally jumped at it and tried our very best to do the best we can. And also at the same time helping them to bridge the gap so that they can move from a sort of a provision look to a sort of a more international look. And that's where we came in. The next project I wanted to share with you is, or rather something that we've learned, this really similar to what Chuck has shared. Instead of creating a brand for your clients, why not for yourself, right? I'm sure everyone sometimes feels frustrated as you make proposals to your client, and sometimes these are great ideas, you think they're great ideas, but they might not go for it because they feel that it's not been done before, it's a bit of a risk, and blah, blah, blah. So it's, sometimes it's a sort of a, you get a little bit discouraged of that. I mean, we've experienced that many, many times in our studio as well, and we've learned that, why not we take charge of our lives, create our own destiny, design destiny, and, any project is only as good as the client. So why not be your own clients? Also the fact that, I don't know about you, but sometimes the client, they don't know how to behave as client, or they treat designers as vendors. Vendors is not a really good word, like contractors. So why not, we are the design partners, not vendors. So we don't need extra vetting from clients. So that's sort of the philosophy we're taking for this project, which is the National Gallery of Singapore. This is a really interesting project that we embarked on. It took us a year to complete. A brief history of what this is. We were a British colony like in India, and the British left us with this magnificent building. It was our parliament and city hall combined. For 10 years, I think it started in early 2000, the government decided to turn this into a museum. So it took 10 years to refurbish the place, architecturally and especially interior. And the climate in Singapore is we don't have a very strong museum-going culture. We, like I shared earlier on, we are a really young nation, and we were only independent in 1965. All the government was focused in building this little island is on very practical stuff like, financial, banking, accounting, engineering, all that. So all that infrastructure was being worked on, and the mindset of the generation, therefore, is very sort of in that path. So right now in this millennial, government has decided that we can go beyond what's beyond the hard infrastructure. We can go cultural. We need arts. We need the soft stuff. So this is a really important project for Singapore. It's the biggest museum that houses the largest Southeast Asian arts in the region. So I forgot how much they spent on it. It's like a lot of money, insane. So the management came to us and proposed this idea where, they want this to build a really, really awesome museum store. And in the past, museums in Singapore, it's run by the government. So it's run by the bureaucrats. So was the retail shops, the museum store, and they always failed very badly. It's very bad, very embarrassing to say. So for us to want to take on this job is really also of national pride. We really wanted to do something that finally Singapore, we have a great museum, and maybe we can have a great museum store. So this is where we came in. And because we have proposed a museum with sort of multi-functional use. It's a museum with food and beverage restaurants sort of component in there. So we roped in my clients who became friends. Two of them, one is in charge of hospitality and the other is a retail guru. So we formed this collective called NCO. So this is the National Gallery logo. And they really wanted us to do something that is not too far away from what they have already, as with government agency. So we came up with this. NCO is the partnership between my studio, the two clients, and also, it's four of us. And then we left the thing blank, and gallery, the National Gallery. So this is a whole partnership that formed the Gallery & Co., which is the name of the museum store. And so this is how we started.
The National Gallery of Singapore is the largest museum in Singapore. It is a truly magnificent building. It's about 64,000 square meters, and it houses the largest public collection of Singapore and Southeast Asian art. I see it as one of the strongest cultural markers for the development of Singapore in its arts and cultural scene. Within Gallery and Co, we have an area for museum-branded merchandise. We have the cafeteria. We even have a fashion store, a bookstore, and a kids section. All this is housed within the 8,800 square foot space. Developing Gallery & Co is basically a turnkey solution. So we started with developing the retail idea and the retail concept and taking it completely through the entire design process, which means designing of the space, merchandise design, uniform design, branding, wayfinding, all of that all encapsulated within the entire design process, followed by operation. So in the construction term, it means concept, design, build, and operate. That's our involvement within this project.
The thinking behind &Co was really to do retail and F&B and the sort of creative part of those businesses in a very different way and trying to meld them within the environs of a museum.
Gallery & Co is one of the most complex projects that we've embarked on since we've started, and basically it's an integrated design project. We worked as a multidisciplinary team under one roof. We are, a team of product designers, space designers, graphic designers, vision merchandisers, the merchandising team, and contractors who help us pull together the place. All of us came together to create one singular, cohesive brand experience.
In terms of curating the products, we really look at putting in products that are at the forefront of art and design. With also a little taste of local as well, and I think we always try to get local artists to collaborate together with us to come up with new products.
Singapore is historically known as the Entrepôt. This is where the ships from various countries come to the port of Singapore to do their trading. And we thought this is a really great analogy for Gallery & Co because we call it the Entrepôt of visual dialogues. And because this is absolutely the place that we want people to come together to get inspired and to soak into the arts and designs. This is the place where fine arts meets the applied arts. If you looked at the store and our branded collaterals, it's really formulated by elements of art, the basic elements like lines, circle, dots, that you started as a child as you learn art. All these shapes come about, and we wanted to also communicate that there's endless possibility, which is why we've used these elements to make patterns.
collaboration is really at the core of what we do. For us, we really want to be able to infuse art and design into the daily lives of all the people, not only in Singapore, but the people who visit the National Gallery.
Some graphics will just further elaborate what we did. It's a huge project. It took us a year to complete. As mentioned in the video, it's like everything that we had to do for the museum, and not just the branding, but also the interiors. We also did the products, merchandise, curating with the exhibition crew on launching the exhibitions with the appropriate merchandise design. We also collaborated with a lot of the Singapore designers because we thought the gallery, we'll call it the gallery store, would be a good platform for the local creatives to be known or get exposed to the visitors coming through the museum, because we don't have I guess we are a little bit underselling ourselves as a Singapore creatives community, and I thought it would be a great platform. Like, for example, this pants you saw, it's really created by a local designer who actually is made in India. So these are great stories to tell, and we also wanted to promote museum-going culture starting from young, which is why we also have a huge emphasis in the kids, so that we really want the museum to be as less intimidating as it should be. Most people feel intimidated looking at that huge architectural, and they don't dare to come in. It's like arts is only for the artists, but it's not true. It's for everyone. So we really hope that our store, our cafe would be that stepping stone where they could feel at ease and comfortable in coming through, which is why we designed it to be really different from the colonial sort of architectural. The interior that we had designed is really very tropical and very welcoming. So I just wanted to talk about this project that we just recently did. This is for the Yah-Leng exhibition that came through 3 months ago, I think, and there was a huge endorsement by our museum to be able to bring such a big name to Singapore. And we had a chance to work with the Yayoi team to produce the merchandise, and it was a very tough project because, as you said, I know that the Japanese artist is very meticulous about their craft, and even the little dots that we have to put on the merchandise had to have her blessing. We also created dishes in the cafeteria to reflect the exhibition. So that was really sold out item. Overall, this was a really, really successful exhibition, and for the retail and the cafeteria side was really captured all over in the media in Singapore, as well as most Southeast Asia. Running through the interior, so it's a store combined with the cafeteria. We made and designed all the tiles ourselves. We wanted to bring in a little bit of the colonialism into the space without being too much. It's really quite modern looking. So hopefully next time in Singapore, please visit. Give me a call. I'd be happy to give you a tour. Basically, that's it for this project. It's a lot of images. Okay. This is also something that we've learned along the way as we progress into our 10th year as a studio. Setting a side project is really important. It's something that keeps us sane as designers, right? But we also learned that through this project that I'm sharing, that it it will have some very unexpected results. Yes, and I know everyone will complain about time because time is such scarcity in our line of work. But I think it's really, really important to put time to focus on something that is slightly not the client's work. So that's what I'm going to talk about today is the project called the Brand Guide Singapore Edition. This was a project that we started in 2014. It was actually an idea that came in mid-2012, but 13, that we didn't really act on it because we were too busy, and that's really hurting us because as months go by, we're like, we got to do this, and finally we got our act together, and I think it was really, I'm really grateful that we did that because I'll show you why later. At that point in time, as I was sharing Singapore, I'm telling you about a lot of history of Singapore today, but it's good to know. We are a very, very young creative scene. Before 2000 maybe, I would describe our scene as mostly populated by mostly international huge ad agency. And that because our culture is such that we were very focused on banking, finance, that kind of thing. People are just thinking in a very different way, Like a lot of people think that Singapore is really boring, but it's not, especially the last few years. So I think starting from early 2007 onwards, when I just came back from New York, I jumped right into starting my own design studio. We see a lot of changes in the landscape. Singaporeans tend to travel a lot. We are very mobile, and it's because of a strategic geographical position. We can go to any city within a 2 and 3 hour radius. It's so easy. And because of the nature of our city, a lot of multinational companies are in our city operating, and they would naturally send their employees out to respective Americas, Europe, blah, blah, blah. And we also are very lucky that we do have a chance to study overseas because of the wealth that's created by our parents. So I would say our generation of entrepreneurs or people who had went overseas came back with a sort of new vision where they want to bring Singapore to a sort of a different, elevate us to a different zone. Like whether it's a restaurant that they see in overseas that they would want to collaborate with a Michelin star restaurant, or something that they see overseas that's pretty creative that they want to bring in and tweak it a little bit to our local flavor. So that's been happening. So a lot of the lawyers, the bankers, decided to quit the job, and then they become restaurateurs, hoteliers, coffee shop owners, blah, blah, blah. And really, these people are the ones who helped contribute to our design community. Because without them, we couldn't do that kind of a good work that we could have done 10 years ago. Mainly because they have been exposed to what's overseas, and they know what's good design, they respect design, and they want to make sure that their business has a design element in it which will help their branding. And this book is really to celebrate these people. A few of these people are my clients, but we also interviewed a couple of other really visionary and successful business people who had taken the same route. And I call that the last few years, the renaissance, the design renaissance in Singapore, because this is the last few years that it's really the best time to be a designer in Singapore. We have sort of an enlightened era where people are beginning to understand and feel for design. So this is really a collation of stories by the brand owners, with insights with designers and their process. And we were really surprised, that it had such good demands that once we put it out online. It was sold out within like 3 months. We haven't had the time to remake this, but the most rewarding thing is this has helped us put Singapore on some of the maps. It has also won a lot of really cool awards that we're really quite happy with. We didn't really make this to win an award, but I think it also encouraged us to do a little bit more, to take that time off to do projects that you feel really passionate about, which is in this case this book. Yeah, and it was quite mentioned and on the online media. I just wanted to share with you also the behind the scenes, which is this is us trying to put the book together before the launch the next day. Everything was hand put together. Yep. And some mock-ups that we did, you know, we're quite. It took us a year. It should have been done in 3 months, but it's really a difficult project. We have to interview people, put things together. Design process was really not that long, but we were also, as your own client, you get really picky, and that's sometimes not great. But I think in this case it was okay. We're really picky down to like even the pocket size, even though it was only like 1 cm off. Making mock-ups was a big thing, and thousands and thousands of times where we checked everything, making sure that they're perfect. There's still typos, by the way, I thought. Can you help? Anyways,
The main aim for the brand guide is to inspire and to share insights of brand owners who have successfully created amazing and emotional brands.
Last few years, we've seen what I call a creative or design renaissance coming through in Singapore. We've seen a lot of shops, restaurants, interesting brands, concept stores that are visioned and designed and created by Singaporeans.
One of the main criteria that we had when we first started on this project was really to make sure that the book contained lots of insights that the successful business owner can share with the readers.
We go through this rigorous exercise of trying to make sure that it's not too heavily specific, so it's not all just restaurants or it's not just all hotels. We wanted a good mix of fashion, beauty, culture, design. There's also a criteria of these brands need to look amazing.
The project is really about demystifying the whole journey of branding. Oftentimes, a user or consumer will only see the end product, but really it started from the genesis of how an owner comes up with an idea and a concept and a vision. That's totally intangible. The team surrounding a project is really, really, really important. We may be able to start off with a vision, but it's very similar to brand development. If you have a vision that is intangible, that alone is insufficient to get the project to where it is.
From the beginning, we know that this is going to be a book that's not just about pretty pictures. So during the journey, for myself, I learned that it is the content that is the king. For that to happen, tenacity, and determination, and the will to make it happen, really has to come in.
I think we want people to be inspired by the book and to learn a lot more about these local brands, but hopefully we'll be able to expand the editions a lot more and have different cities.
We have plans to go on to maybe New York, Melbourne, so we'll see how things go with the first book launch, but I hope we start off with a big bang and end off strongly as well.
If there are any collaborators out there, we would like to invite them to drop us a note. We'd love to hear from them and see whether there's a way for us to collaborate to develop a brand guide for the local city.
I guess I ran out of time, but I really wanted to show you also. Hold on. I have a new project. We have a new publication that we just published. It's called A Critical Mess, slightly different format from the brand guide, but it's just out, only two issues in. I also given everyone here a discount code if you want to order it online. Sales pitch. Okay, thank you so much. I'm 1 minute behind.